Well, this is Keith Seymour back with Real Talk, and it's only been less than 24 hours, or about 24 hours, since my last video. Uh, Yesterday, I was here with my friend and colleague Albert Bruce Moore talking about the DNC and where the Democratic Party was going. It now appears we know exactly where the Democratic Party is going. I'm sure many of you have already heard that President Biden is going to finish out the presidency. But he has handed, after much pressure from his fellow Democrats, the nomination to someone else, to Vice President Kamala Harris. This is going to be very interesting. Simply because the country has said they don't want a repeat. They don't want two old guys. Well, they only have one old guy now. And he's not liked by all Democrats. When I was watching I believe it was the first or second night, no, it was the third night of the Republican National Convention. No, it was the second. Nikki Haley handed over her not only her delegates but endorsements, and the mainstream media debated: is this a chance for the Democrats and Joe Biden to get Nikki Haley's votes, those people who don't want to vote for Trump, those Republicans who are undecided. Depending on what your reasons are for voting for Trump, if you're pro-life, you probably will vote for Trump. It's as a conservative myself, I can honestly say that's the way most people are going to vote if you're a one-issue person. If there are other issues at play, Kamala Harris, who is a younger person, definitely makes it easier for some of those voters, in my opinion, to go over to her. Here's something else that makes it interesting. Even if we put the age and the politics aside for just a moment anyway, we have a former state prosecutor who ran against Biden in 2020 and was later made vice president, and is probably very good at fielding off attacks. I mean, she spent the better part of her adult life being a prosecutor. Going against an old guy who is a former felon, convicted felon. So you've got an officer of the court against a businessman who has been convicted of a felony. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics of it, or whether this was a frame-up, or that's not the issue of this commentary. That's not the purpose of this commentary. What voters need to think about is, if you were going to hire someone into your business, and you had someone convicted of embezzlement or fraud going up against someone, excuse me, allergies, against someone who had a law degree and a pretty good following, what would you pick? Two-party politics has gotten out of hand. I personally have always thought that third parties should be required by the media outlets that sponsor and the organizations that sponsor the debates to be invited on the stage automatically. I mean, and that may or may not make a difference as far as the um, electoral votes, because states decide on how those are distributed, and except for maybe two or three, I believe, whoever has the majority of the votes in any state is awarded all of the votes. So in South Carolina, we have 2 senators, 7 districts. That's 9 electoral votes. So whoever wins the majority of South Carolina, which of course is a red state, gets all 9 electoral college votes. That's an issue for another time and another day, and it will be discussed. The issue here is, where does first of all, where does the Democratic Party go from here as far as choosing the vice presidential candidate? Yesterday, I suggested Robert Kennedy Jr., who's running as an independent right now, but he's actually a Democrat, and his name does have some value. And Donald Trump was rumored to have been, actually, there was a phone call between him and Kennedy to ask Kennedy to endorse him. I don't know how likely that is, that would actually occur, that Kennedy would do that. But if Harris could steal that thunder, it would be politically smart. Another major issue is the governor of Arizona. I don't remember his name, and Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. And I personally have always felt that governors were better candidates than senators, simply because they have been executives over an entire population of people, whereas senators are more or less district-wide, and congressmen. This is going to be interesting, and I'm sure that I'll be back, but I would like your thoughts. Go ahead and put them on this. I may also be reached at Right Stuff Seymour, WRITECMOUR, at X, or formerly known as Twitter. So there we have it. Is life going to be made more difficult for Trump? I think a little bit. I think that basically, had Biden stayed in the race, Trump would have won. So I urge you to not only go out and vote, but to pay attention to all of the debates from here on out. And when Harris's vice presidential running mate is announced, I will be back and I will have some more comments on that. Meanwhile, again, feel free to make any comments. I'll be back, same bat time, or certainly same bat channel. And if you want to subscribe, please subscribe. And if you feel my comments are worth discussing, whether you think that I'm out of my mind or you agree or disagree, please suggest my channel to your coworkers, colleagues, and anybody else you know. Have a good weekend.